My first question is really the JPS element of it. The fact that we, through adversity, have had to look at opportunities. Is OER, is JPS, is the government in any way contemplating nuclear energy as a possible source of significantly reduced energy costs? I'm not sure if you would be able to answer me on that element. And I know you spoke to areas easterly, like my constituency, East Rural, St. Andrew. We still do not have power in the hills. But what concerns me is the information given by JPS, and our membership at last meeting pointed it out, still doesn't give us an idea as to which communities are affected and any schedule of when communities will come back on board. I recall the only beautiful schedule I saw was one that was fake. And then, yes, it was literally somebody who constructed a beautifully crafted fake document.
It was very encouraging. It was a very encouraging fake schedule.
Very discouraging, because the dates on it were very fake.
Yeah.
So that would help us, and it has gotten deeper for us, because my first experience in Burchell, we pushed ahead to clear main roads. Our thinking was the lines run along the main thoroughfare, and that is what would help JPS with restoration. And then they got back to us and said, no, you know, this particular one goes through the bush of here, and that particular one goes through this tiny road that we literally left and said, we're not going to clear it there because we need JPS back up. And so we said to them that first time, look, when we have a situation of this nature, there needs to be some sort of coordination with the political representatives, so that between NWA, who is in the space, and we are heavily in the space, have a lot of workers, community persons who would be communicating with us. We need to find a more efficient way of knowing where do you need to go and what are the issues you're having and in what way we can help. That is, we're still not there. We would really need OUR to take a look at some sort of long-term approach to when we have emergency situations, in the way that JPS has a community group that they've set up with themselves and the parish council, that it goes a little deeper, and we have representatives from almost every community who would be able to say what is happening. And it could act as a mechanism in your own audit of the information you're getting, re-flow, re-JPS, re-water, from various communities across different constituencies. Our challenge is particularly deep in Kingston and St. Andrew, because you have said 1%. That 1% is with us still hearing. We cannot come to you in some spaces because we don't have any trucks at all. So could someone guide us as to whether there are zero trucks left in Kingston and St. Andrew for JPS? We have offered to help with widening roads. We have offered to help with, if the road, no matter what, is just too narrow, we will meet you at a point, and then we can help to take the poles from there up. Community persons have offered to help to dig the holes. And our last response, and we do check daily, JPS said to us for the communities of Davids Hill, Halls Delight, Westphalia, they still cannot answer us as to when they will have trucks that will be able to take poles to us, which we think is very unacceptable. For water, Chairman understands the K factor far better than I do, but I am looking at, separate and apart from the savings we have had as a government from projects like that introduced or Portmore, St. Catherine, Kingston, the KSA, which has significantly reduced our non-revenue water. Cost of living continues to be a cry of Jamaicans, and if we can get anything for cheap, we'll happily take it over anything that costs us more. Water is considered to be life, and water residents would love to be able to get so cheap that where we're losing revenues because people are stealing water, they would love to be in a position to even pay flat rates and have the ability to get and feel like I'm a paying customer. Is there any potential significant reduction in costs that we could have at WC using solar pumps as a part of our operation? And now that we have had the experience of Melissa and there are persons offering to donate and to provide grants to us, persons have been saying, look, we are willing to send you solar powered pumps. Is that something that we should push or pursue? And is that something that would redound to a significant benefit in the cost of operations for NWC and potentially far more resilience in us not depending on electricity needing to come back first before we can get water at many of the areas that are rural? Thank you.
Thanks, Amber. I'm going to ask DDG Lewis to respond to the issue of considerations about nuclear. And I'm going to ask DDG Wilson to speak to the. Okay. You want to speak on nuclear as well as on the issue of the restoration of power and also water. I'll probably say something at the end about the details for restoration going forward. Ma'am.
Yes, okay. Thanks for the questions. Regarding nuclear energy, nuclear energy is the concept of small modular nuclear energy is relatively new. There are perhaps about 18 technologies, and the decision as to which ones are the most useful in the context of a small island economy, those things have not been settled as yet. What I should also say is that there's no example of a small island with nuclear energy, and it takes at least 10 years for planning to take place. But some positive things have been happening in Jamaica in the sense that we have been a part, the Ministry of Energy, along with the OER, we have been in discussion about nuclear energy. Consideration is given to including that particular technology in the IRP, the Integrated Resource Plan. So we're thinking about it. Of course, as I said before, we would just be in the pre-planning stage. But for that to happen, it will not be until 10, 15, 20 years from now. But the planning and the thought process, which is important, has already begun. With regards to what is happening in some areas where there is the restoration all around, there's nothing more painful than to have yourself surrounded by a ring of light and you are in darkness. And so I can understand the discomfort and the unease that people are experiencing in Eastern St. Andrew. But the question of...
East Rural. I don't want to get in the bad books.
East Rural, thank you. But there has been an effort to rechannel a lot of resources out to the west. And this might be a consequence of that. So I think what we need to explore with JPS is how do you deal with the marginal the margins that exist in areas that are almost fully electrified as well. So that is something that we'll have to talk to them about. But we understand the pain and the agony of seeing that around us. All right, is there anything? Solar pumps. That definitely is a great idea, I think. But of course, with every great idea, there's a dark underbelly. Solar panels of that kind is very vulnerable to theft. And
Solar pumps.
right, so it's something that could be raised. We have heard of the suggestion before. It's something we could talk to NWC about, but the security element is something that would have to be factored into the cost-benefit analysis for that to happen. All right?
I know many fish farmers, for example, use solar pumps currently. So I know solar pumps are in commercial use locally. Of course, it has to be, solar pumps don't have batteries, so they only run during the day. You can do a solar photovoltaic system where you use a regular pump and you have batteries so that it can 24 hours. So I'm sure NWC, if they were here, would be able to tell us, because it may be appropriate for some of the locations, some of the pumping stations. All right.
Yeah, the other thing with solar batteries, as you point out, that it can only run during the day, so it would have to be supplemented by batteries or by storage.
Right, which is what a lot of the commercial people do, is pump into a reservoir during the day and then continue to flow from the reservoir during the night. All right, question now to Ms. Burchell, your turn, and then Mr. Hines.
Thank you. I wonder, has the OUR conducted, commissioned, or required an audit of JPS's damage claims for Hurricane Beryl or for Hurricane Melissa? Or are we relying completely on what they've self-reported? So this $350 million bill for Hurricane Melissa, which has been much talked about in terms of the government's contribution to it, is it something we're just taking from JPS and then forcing the government to cough up well-needed resources to help them finance a figure that they've self-reported? Or are you going to find a way to verify that? Again, on JPS, why I'm told by customers that they are still receiving estimated bills when JPS operates a fully digital metering system that can give you hour by hour data on usage. Is it true that JPS is still giving estimated bills, and why would something like that occur? And finally, the communities that have been out of electricity for the duration of Melissa, for example, can we confirm somehow? Is there an auditing system within OUR that can confirm that they have been zero consumption billed for those periods? For me, for example, I haven't even checked a JPS bill because I expect none for the period of Hurricane Melissa. So can customers rely on OUR's support to ensure zero consumption has been billed for those who've been out of electricity for now over a month? Thanks.
Suppose in that case, there shouldn't even be a connection charge. I'm going to invite OUR to respond to those first, and I'll come to your question.
Thank you. So have we conducted our audit of Beryl? And the answer is that we've not done a formal audit of Beryl. In fact, that's why there is an outstanding amount that we haven't allowed yet, because we're still going through the information that has been submitted to us.
That's the 5
we do
million
not-
that you reserve. You spoke earlier about reserving a 5 million.
No, that's why I said to you that net of Beryl claims.
Okay.
That's right.
So just to clarify then, you would have more than 5 million retained because you have something against the claims that are being audited.
Well, what we have done is indicated that what is it? There's a 9 million, or I think it's 9 million, $10 million, right? That we are going to, we're taking another look at to address whether or not this is something that we are not. It's just a question of ensuring that what is claimed, because we know, for example, that the company has a capital program that we approve. Now, when you have a hurricane, there are things that happen in terms of capital enhancement and all of those things. So we look at those things in order to determine.
To see whether the normal capital program might have
Right.
overlapped or been overtaken by.
So that's the process that we're going through now. So for Beryl. For Melissa, again, we wouldn't be doing an audit now because the restoration is in fact taking place. What we have said to JPS is we have given direction as to how we expect the assessment, and we make a distinction between the engineering assessment that says this is the kind of damage that has been done, and then the cost of actually effecting the restoration. And we have said same way that for insurance purposes you would have assessors going out and so on. So JPS will appoint assessors on the terms of reference that we have approved. And then those reports will come to us. We will look at that, and we have reserved the right to employ specialists to review those. Perhaps what you call a loss adjuster to review that. So that's the process we're going through with regard to the claim or potential claim. Why some customers still receiving estimated bills? I think that was the question. Cheryl, you want to say something about that, or are you? Okay.
I would defer that to my colleague, Ms. Good.
You have to make a request. Thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the question. So, yes, JPS would have 100% smart meter their customers. However, that technology depends also on the telecommunications network. So where those networks are down, it would prevent JPS from getting those meter readings, and that would account for the reason that customers would receive estimated bills. It may not be the only reason, but that may be the main reason, because there may also, in instances where they are not able to get the reading remotely, they would usually send out their meter readers. But of course, in some areas, there would now be access issues. So that would also prevent them from having an actual reading.